Part 1, The Fateful Encounter. The sky in New York was gray that fateful morning. Peter Wilson, 28, hurried down the street, his old suit jacket, carefully pressed overnight, now shielding him from the first drops of rain. In his hands was a file in a cheap, frayed briefcase. This was the most important interview of his life at Morgan & Finch, a leading financial firm, a chance to escape his cramped apartment in a poor neighborhood and send more money back home to help his elderly mother. 8:25, 35 minutes to go, Peter muttered as he glanced at the old watch on his wrist, the only gift from his late father. Just enough time to get to the Morgan & Finch office on time, if he walked a little faster. At that moment, there was the screech of brakes, followed by a loud crash and a scream. Peter turned around and saw a shiny black Bentley that had lost control, crashed into a guardrail, and flipped over, smoke billowing from the front of the car. Without hesitation, he ran towards the wrecked car, leaving behind a briefcase containing important documents under the awning of a nearby shop. "Are you okay?" Peter shouted as he approached and saw a young woman struggling to open the mangled car door. Her golden hair was streaked with blood, her beautiful face pale with panic. I'm stuck," her voice came out weakly. "I can't feel my legs." "Don't worry, I'll help you," Peter reassured. He tried to open the door but failed. Without hesitation, Peter used his elbow to break the glass, cut the seatbelt, and carefully pulled the woman out of the car, which was starting to emit thick black smoke. He carried the young woman away from the scene just as the car burst into flames. Placing her down on a nearby park bench, Peter quickly took off his jacket and shirt to bandage the wounds on her head and legs. "Thank you," she whispered, her blue eyes looking straight into his with deep gratitude. "I'm Jelly." "Peter." "Glad to help you, Jelly." He smiled warmly, forgetting that he was standing in the rain and only a thin undershirt. The ambulance arrived 10 minutes later. Peter insisted on accompanying Jelly to the hospital, even though his watch showed that his interview was due in 15 minutes. "What about your interview?" Jelly asked, noticing the slight worry on Peter's face. "There will be another chance," he smiled, trying to hide his disappointment. "Your health is more important right now." Part 2, The Unsung Hero. At the hospital, Peter waited until the doctor confirmed that Jelly had a broken femur and some minor injuries, but was out of danger. As a group of people in expensive suits rushed into the emergency room, Peter quietly left, leaving only a small piece of paper with his phone number in the pocket of his jacket that he had placed next to Jelly, in case she needed help. He turned back to get his briefcase, but it was too late to save the interview. Peter returned to his small rented room, trying not to think about the great opportunity that had just slipped through his fingers. However, he did not regret his decision at all. 2 weeks passed without any news from Jelly. Peter went back to his job as a waiter at a small Italian restaurant and continued to send out resumes to other financial companies, although the opportunities were getting thinner and thinner. One evening, as Peter waited on tables, the restaurant door opened and an elegant woman in a business suit entered. He almost dropped his tray of drinks when he realized it was Jelly. She leaned on a light crutch, but her beauty was even more dazzling than he remembered. "I finally found you," Jelly smiled as Peter approached to greet her. "It's not easy when my hero doesn't leave his full name." "I'm not a hero," Peter replied, his cheeks flushing slightly. "Anyone would do that." "Not everyone is willing to miss an important interview at Morgan & Finch," Jelly said softly. "I've been looking into you, Peter Wilson." Peter was surprised. "How did you know about the interview?" "I have my ways," Jelly smiled mysteriously. "Do you have a minute of your time? I have a proposal I'd like to discuss with you." After his shift, Peter met Jelly at a nearby coffee shop. She placed a fancy business card in front of him, "Juliana Winters, CEO, Winters International." "You're the CEO?" Peter couldn't hide his surprise. "And I want to repay the person who saved my life," Jelly said frankly. "Winters International is looking for a financial analyst. It's a better position than the one at Morgan & Finch. And I want you to interview for it." Part 3, Love Blooms and Barriers. Peter starts working at Winters International after an excellent interview. He quickly proves himself to be a talented, hardworking, and creative employee, highly regarded by his colleagues and superiors for his sharp analytical skills and dedication to his work. At first, Peter and Julie's relationship is strictly professional. But over time, as they regularly meet for meetings and projects, a deeper feeling develops. They begin to find reasons to work together more, and their work conversations gradually turn into evenings of conversation about life, dreams, and fears. After 6 months, during a late night at work, Julie boldly declares her feelings. "I've never felt this way about anyone before," she confesses, her voice trembling with emotion. "I know it seems inappropriate, but I can't hide my feelings anymore." Peter, who had secretly loved Julie for a long time but did not dare to express his feelings because of the gap in status, reciprocated her feelings with all his heart. However, their happiness did not last long. News of the relationship quickly spread to the Winters family, one of the most powerful and wealthy families in the city. Maxwell Winters, Julie's father and the chairman of the corporation, was furious when he learned that his daughter was dating a common employee. A nobody? No assets, no status? Maxwell roared at a family meeting. "What do you think you're doing, Juliana? Is this a joke?" "I love him, Dad," Julie replied, firmly defending her love. "Have children with a waiter? Do you want to ruin your life and the reputation of the Winters family?" Maxwell could not accept it. "I will not let that happen." The very next day, Peter received a notice of transfer to Winters International's Singapore branch, a clear move to separate him and Julie. At the same time, Maxwell arranged for Julie to be engaged to the son of a longtime business partner and oil and gas heir. In a secret meeting before Peter had to leave, Julie sobbed in his arms. "I will fight my father," she vowed. "I will not abandon us." Peter looked deeply into his lover's eyes, wiping away the tears from her beautiful face. "I will come back," he promised, his voice low and firm. "Not as an employee, not as a man who is not worthy of you according to your father. I will come back as someone no one can look down on." Julie squeezed Peter's hand. "I will wait for you. No matter how long it takes, I will wait." Part 4, The Unbelievable Journey. A challenging beginning. It was still early in the morning when Peter packed up his small desk at Winters International. He looked at the photo of him and Julie at the company picnic one last time, then carefully placed it in a box of personal effects. His resignation letter was neatly placed on the desk, along with the employee badge he would never use again. "Are you sure about this decision?" Lisa, Peter's closest colleague, asked worriedly. She had arrived early to see him off. More than anything, Peter smiled, his eyes shining with determination. "Singapore is not where I need to be. And I can't continue working for a company whose leader sees me as a threat that must be eliminated." "But what are you going to do next? With Maxwell Winters behind you, no financial firm in New York would dare hire you." Peter looked out the window, where the first rays of sunlight were beginning to appear over the Manhattan skyline. It was time for me to make my own path. Instead of flying to Singapore as Maxwell had planned, Peter rented a small apartment in Brooklyn, a cramped loft that was worse than the one he'd lived in before he joined Winters International. His savings would last him only a few months if he lived frugally. On the first day of his new life, Peter woke up at 4 a.m., opened his old laptop, and began working on an idea he'd been developing during his time at Winters. A financial market prediction algorithm that combined artificial intelligence with investor behavior analysis, something traditional models often overlooked. The dark days. The first 3 months passed in absolute solitude. Peter spent nearly every waking hour writing code, testing models, and researching the market. His small room gradually transformed into a den with hundreds of sticky notes plastered all over the walls, complex algorithmic diagrams, and market tracking charts. To save money, Peter ate only instant noodles and cheap food. He sold his watch, the only gift from his father, to buy the equipment he needed for work. Sometimes he stayed up for 48 hours straight, only napping for a few hours in a chair next to his computer. "You're crazy, Peter," Marcus, his only friend who kept in touch, remarked when he visited. "Look at you, you look like you've just come from hell." Maybe, Peter smiled wearily, but hell will take me to heaven. By the 4th month, Peter's savings were nearly depleted. He had to work a pizza delivery job in the evenings to cover his living expenses, leaving him to work on his algorithm from midnight to dawn. One rainy night, while delivering pizzas to a posh building on the Upper East Side, Peter suddenly realized that it was the building where Jelly lived. He stood in the rain, looking up at the lit windows, wondering if she saw him, if she was still waiting for him. That night, he returned home in his wet delivery uniform, sat in front of his computer, and worked non-stop for 72 hours, as if fueled by pain and longing. Butengo Dao Tien. Sao gon mot nam lam vi com met moi, fin ban dao tien qua fin vision, si ten Peter dat cho fuet ton qua mend de san son de Thursday nium tup te. On dao tu 90% so tien com li qua men veo ti truong chung koan, dua theo in hung du don qua fin vision. Hoc toi se fa san hon ton, hope day se la bud dao tien, Peter tu nu kai nan net zag nan cho kak jao dite. Hai tuan sam tang choi qua. Peter how nu kom mengu, lean tuc keen tra dan muc dao tu qua men. Kai ti chuang dong qua veo gay Thursday moi bon, on kong the 10 veo mad men, dan muc dao tu de tang 78% mot ket qua gon nu kong tuong trong voijan non nu vei. Voice so tien keen duok, Peter thu mot van fong no trong mot toa na cu o ku tai chin va bad dao lin yi voi kag na dao tu tin non. En hum kan duong van kan red dai va de chong gai. Mo thuet ton du don ti truong? Ka gi men la nue dao tien gra y tuong nai sa? Mot na dao tu mau hin koi neo sao kai ne Peter thiet trin. Ne nai, ko han gen sum tai fintech dang ko gang lam du tuong tu. Mo hin qua on hon ton phi tup te, nuoi kak nan zet. 78% loin wan trong hai tuan? Du chik chan la me man, calm the duwe tri duok. Peter de gap han 50 na dao tu team non trom ba thang, va nan duok 50 loi tu choi. En hum on calm bo kuok. Moi dem, nin veo buck on qua jelly, on lai ti tam, vm. On se calm bo kuok. Diem bung fat. Bukengo den veo mot gay thang 10 nam Thursday high. Sao kai fin vision du don chin zak mot kuok kong hong no trong ti truong song ne, Peter duok mot blogger tai ching ko tiang fong van. Bai viet ve fu tui du don ti truong in han chon lan trian trong gue tai chin. Mo tuan sao bai viet duok dang tai, Peter nan duok kuok gue tu Eric Zhang, mot tai put song ne gaka dang tim keen ko hoi dao tu moi. Toi de theo doi ket qua ka trong sao thang qua, Eric noi trong kuok gab dao tien tai van fong no qua Peter. Con phi me man. De la mot beard dat fa tuk su. Voi koan dao tu tru du la tu Eric, Peter thu doing gu ky su dao tien va mo ron fin vision ton mot nan tang hon chin dan jo kek na dao tu ka nan va to chuk. Tak du fet tran en han chon vut xa moi du don. Veo koi nam Thursday ba, fin vision de ko han 10.000 kak han tra phi, voi tai lu chen zak trong du don ti truong dat 87% chow han bat ky doi Thursday now trong gan. Song tai qua Peter, geo de mang 10 fin vision incorporated, duok din gia 300 true du la salvon guivon series b, facing the giant. FinVision's success has not gone unnoticed by major financial firms, including Winters International. Maxwell Winters, realizing that the new fintech competitor is the man he tried to keep out of his daughter's life, orders an attack. Winters Financial Analytics, a new product from the Winters Group, is launched with a huge marketing campaign aimed directly at competing with FinVision. At the same time, negative articles about Peter and his company begin to appear in leading financial sites. That's the biggest threat to us, says Sam, FinVision's chief operating officer, worriedly. Winters has endless resources and connections. Peter looks out the window of his new office, now a full floor in a modern Manhattan building at the headquarters of Winters International. This isn't just a business battle, he replied, his voice calm. This is an opportunity to prove who's really better. Instead of competing with Winters in marketing, Peter focused on product innovation. He led the engineering team in a 30-day hackathon to develop FinVision 2.0 with deeper predictive capabilities, a friendlier interface, and more advanced artificial intelligence integration. As a result, while Winters Financial Analytics initially gained traction, customers gradually switched to FinVision for its superior performance. 6 months after launch, Winters' product was forced to slash prices by 50% to retain customers, while FinVision continued to grow at an astonishing rate. Going global. At the beginning of his 4th year, Peter decided to expand FinVision internationally. He personally led trips to London, Tokyo, Singapore, and Hong Kong, setting up branch offices and adapting his algorithms to the specifics of each market. Peter's deep understanding of global financial markets, combined with his engaging presentation skills and clear vision for the future of fintech, attracted not only clients but also top talent in the industry. The best analysts, the best software engineers, and the most innovative marketers all wanted to work for FinVision. Our company culture is based on a simple principle, Peter said at a fintech conference in London. Never give up on something you truly believe in and are passionate about. Every member of FinVision has their own story of pursuing their dreams against all odds. Fortune magazine called Peter a game changer in its December issue that year, with a cover story about his extraordinary journey from a regular employee to the founder of one of the world's fastest-growing fintech companies. Final achievement. On the 5th anniversary of his departure from Winters International, Peter stood on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, ready to ring the opening bell for FinVision's IPO. He was surrounded by the FinVision leadership team, who had been with him through the toughest days. The air was filled with excitement as the big screen showed FinVision's stock price skyrocketing in the first minutes of trading. By the end of the day, FinVision was valued at more than $7 billion, and Peter Wilson, as its largest shareholder, was officially a billionaire. He had gone from being a poor boy to being able to rub shoulders with the most powerful names on Wall Street, including Maxwell Winters. That evening, in his new penthouse overlooking Manhattan, Peter stood alone by the window. He took out the faded photograph of Jelly, the one that had accompanied him through the past 5 years, through sleepless nights, bitter failures, and sweet successes. "It's time," Peter whispered to himself. He opened a drawer and took out a small jewelry box. Inside was an exquisite diamond ring that he had designed, not the most expensive or ostentatious, but crafted with love and understanding of Jelly's exquisite taste. Peter picked up the phone and called his assistant, "Sarah, prepare the plane. I'm flying to New York tomorrow morning." "But sir, we're in New York," Sarah reminded. Peter smiled, looking at Jelly's photograph. "That's right. Then book me a table at Le Bernardin tomorrow night. And send a formal invitation to Juliana Winters." "What's the content of the invitation, sir?" Peter paused, looking out at the bright lights of the city where 5 years ago he had been an unknown, poor, and desperate boy. "Right, you kept your promise. It's time to continue our story." Part 5, A Touching Reunion. One fall evening, at the annual charity event of New York's elite, Peter shows up in a perfect tuxedo, no longer the poor boy he once was. He knows the Winters family will be there. This is the opportunity he's been waiting for the past 5 years. As Peter enters the main lobby of the opulent Plaza Hotel, his eyes immediately search the crowd for Jelly. And then he sees her, still breathtakingly beautiful in her sapphire blue gown, standing beside her father and her arranged fiancé. Peter's heart pounds as he walks toward them. Maxwell Winters recognizes him first, his expression changing from surprise to anger. "Mr. Winters," Peter greets politely, his voice calm. "It's nice to see you again after so many years." "Wilson?" Maxwell exclaims, unable to hide his surprise. "What are you doing here?" Jelly turned around, her eyes wide with surprise. "Peter?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "Hi Jelly," Peter smiled softly. "You kept your promise. You're Peter Wilson from FinVision?" Jelly's fiancé asked, unable to hide his admiration. "I'm a big fan of your technology." Maxwell Winters looked at Peter with a different gaze than he had 5 years ago. He was no longer a poor employee, but a tech billionaire, an influential figure in global finance. "I'd like to speak to your daughter in private, if you don't mind," Peter said, his voice polite but firm. To everyone's surprise, Maxwell nodded. "Just 5 minutes," he said, his voice softening considerably. Peter led Jelly out onto the deserted balcony. In the soft moonlight, they looked at each other, the 5 years of separation seeming as if they had never existed. "I've been waiting," Jelly whispered, tears glistening in her eyes. "Every day, I believed you would come back. I did everything for you," Peter took her slender hand. "Every success, every step forward was for one purpose, to be worthy of you in the eyes of your family." "I have always been worthy of you," Jelly insisted. "From day one." Peter knelt down and pulled a small box from his pocket. Inside was a sparkling diamond ring, not the most expensive, but a custom-made one he knew Jelly would love. "Juliana Winters, will you give me the chance to love and care for you for the rest of my life?" Before Jelly could answer, the balcony door opened. Maxwell Winters entered, but he no longer looked as angry as before. He looked at the couple for a long moment, then sighed. "My daughter deserves the best," he said. "5 years ago, I didn't think it was you, Wilson. But now." Maxwell stepped forward, placing his hand on Peter's shoulder. "What you've accomplished isn't just money, it's perseverance, vision, and intelligence. Maybe I was wrong about you." Jelly couldn't hold back her tears of joy. "Are you approving?" "I can't stand in the way of your true happiness," Maxwell admitted. "If this is the man you choose, I'll respect that decision." Turned toward the balcony, with the bright lights of New York City as witness, Jelly looked back at Peter with eyes filled with love. "Yes," she replied, her voice clear and certain. "I do." Part 6, Happiness Forever. Peter and Jelly's wedding took place 6 months later, a lavish yet intimate affair at an old seaside mansion. Not because of the extravagance or the fame they had, but because of the touching love story that conquered even the most skeptical hearts, including Maxwell Winters. In his wedding speech, the man who was once the greatest enemy of this love story emotionally said, "Sometimes, it takes time to realize the true value of a person. Peter has proven that nothing can stop a man who truly loves my daughter." After the wedding, Peter and Jelly decided to combine the strengths of their two families. Finvision merged with the technology division of Winters International, creating a new business empire called Winter Vision, a symbol of foresight and the perfect combination of tradition and innovation. But business success was not their greatest happiness. A year after their wedding, their first son was born, William, a bright boy with Jelly's blue eyes and Peter's warm smile. 2 years later, their little daughter Sophie was born, completing their happy family. Their home, a modern but cozy villa next to Central Park, was always filled with laughter. Despite their wealth and fame, Peter and Jelly always taught their children the value of perseverance and kindness. William and Sophie grew up with lessons that love can overcome all barriers and dreams can come true if you never give up. Every year, on the exact day they met, the day of the fateful car accident, Peter and Jelly held a special dinner, just the two of them. Together, they recalled the journey they had gone through, grateful for the challenges that had forged their lasting love. "Do you ever regret waiting for me?" Peter often asked on such evenings. "Not for a second," Jelly always replied with a bright smile. "I knew you would come back. True love always finds its way back." And as they raised their glasses of champagne by the flickering candlelight, with William and Sophie's laughter echoing from the next room, both Peter and Jelly knew that all the hardships, all the tears, all the days apart were worth the happiness they now had, a love that had conquered all obstacles and a family they would cherish forever. Sometimes in life, the longest and most difficult roads lead to the most wonderful things. Peter and Jelly's story is proof that when the heart is strong and the love is true, no barrier can stand forever.